Next year. We will have a coordinated family outfit next year. We'll even get the cats in
Oh,
on
that'll
it.
be fun. That'll be
Um,
fun.
I'll go ch yeah, I'll go raid the clearance sections tomorrow. It'll
That's
just
the
be done.
best way to do it,
None of
honestly.
that's well, and, like, it's not like having kids, so they're all gonna be the same size next year. I don't have to worry about 'em growing out of
Right.
it. Um, and I normally, like, knock it out of the park for Halloween, but this brings us into our topic today, time blocking.
Yes.
I have not been effectively time blocking lately, and therefore I don't have a Halloween
Yeah, the bane
costume.
of everybody's existence. But I think the problem with time blocking, and it's not necessarily a problem, is that everybody seems to think that there's only one way to time block and there's only one right way to time block effectively, which is bananas because I think even you and I, if we compared how we time block and what we time block, which I mean is what we're gonna dive into today, but I think it's very, very different.
Yes, and I think it's very different depending on where you're at in your career, where you're at in life. Um, mine is gonna look much different than yours because I don't have kids. Like, so my time blocking can be a little more freeform. If I don't do my prospecting or whatever at 9 a.m., that doesn't mean I can't do it at 3 p.m. versus like you, an agent who has a family that you work your business around your family. If yours isn't done when it's supposed to be done, well, now we're in school pickup line or whatever, and that changes things. So I think it all looks very different for everyone. But I think no matter how you do it, if you do it, it is the best tool for your business. And it's a free tool. You don't need any special apps. You don't have to pay someone to do it for you. Um, you just need the calendar. It can be a paper calendar, it can be the calendar in your phone, which is the one I prefer. Um, a lot of people collaborate with like a Google Calendar if they have an assistant. The point is, it's just like the people say this about a CRM all the time. The best CRM is the one
Is
you
the
use.
one you use. And that goes for literally everything in this business though. Like it goes for
Exactly. And that's
prospecting, it goes for what kind of client you like, you know what I mean? Whatever you're going to do, that's it. That's the one. Just
yeah,
stick with it because
that's the one.
consistency is what everything boils down to. And if you don't like it and it doesn't work well for you, you're not going to be consistent with it. So, ergo, it's not going to work.
Exactly. And I think let's talk about how you start time blocking. I always advise people because I don't want to say coach because I feel like every realtor today is like, I'm
I'm
now a
a
coach. And
real
I'm like, no, I'm
estate
not.
coach.
Right. Like good for you. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic for another day. I have advised people, they come for advice or to ask questions. And the tip I give to start your time blocking is go a week, 2 weeks, and actually mark down in your calendar what you're doing and color code it. So that's how I got into it. I, for a week, marked out everything I was actually doing. And it made me realize how much time I was wasting in front of the television. When I did it, it made me realize I didn't think I watched a lot of TV at that point. And then I realized I was watching hours a day. And so anything that wasn't productive in my calendar, and it still is this way, if it's watching TV, it's black because I consider it a black hole. That is something that is not pushing my business forward. It is not building relationships with other people. It is not important time with friends and family. It's a black
Right.
hole. And I all of a sudden my calendar like was very black and I was like, "Ooh." So that's my first tip. If you have not time blocked before and you want to get into it, document your week. Go 1 week, 2 weeks, and be honest with yourself. It's just like when people start a diet or your doctor says, I need to know what you're eating to figure out what this food allergy is. Be honest. And so from the minute you wake up till the minute you go to bed, I don't care if it's I got up and it took me 5 minutes to make a second cup of coffee. Block it. mark it in that calendar so you can see what you're doing. But that would be my first step, and then take that, build in a lot of people use, like, the pebble theory. Your big pebbles or your big stones are the important things in your life. Your family, going to the gym, the things that are important to you. Build those non-negotiables into your calendar. So figure out obviously, like, for you, Brenna, school pickup line, school drop off, kids' sports games, practices, time with the family on the farm. All those are going to be your big pebbles. For me, it's going to be like going to the gym in the morning. Yeah, that's probably about it. I don't have a lot of big pebbles, I guess, anymore.
You have
But
animals to
anyway,
feed, and
I do have animals. So like Mabel has a time block. She gets a 30-minute walk every morning. Um, and then usually something in the afternoon for her too. And certain nights of the week, now that it's cooled off, she will get time either at the dog park or the dog bar. So I guess I do have big pebbles. But then you fill in the medium pebbles. Those are your business things, your prospecting, your lunch and learns, your client stuff. Those get filled in around that so that you can see what you're
right.
doing. Um, and color code them. Like I have mine all, like I said, black holes. Um, but color code it. So like my black holes are black. My personal stuff is purple because purple,
Your favorite color.
just do
Right.
this, is my favorite color.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I am the queen of color coding. I have a lot more color codes, I feel like, because I a lot of things to color code. So each of my
Right.
kids have their own color. Travis has a color. Um,
I like it,
anything
but that
it
helps.
does, it does, and anything school related is a color. Um, so work is a color, me is a color. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of colors.
Right.
But
Like,
I know you said black, and when I was first doing time blocking, my black was actually the amount of time I spent in the car.
so that is mine too. I put down, like, if I'm driving, that is black hole time. But I will say this. So for those of you who don't know, I totaled my car, 2 months ago
It's
almost,
been
like
almost two
September
months. Yep.
14th. Yeah, it's been a month and a half. It's a whole story for another day. But the rental car that I have is 11 years newer than the car I was driving. And if any of you are German auto fans, you know how far behind
Hmm.
in technology German cars were until about 3 years ago.
Yeah,
So the rental car has Apple CarPlay. I have been more productive while driving, being able, honestly, just being able to answer text messages because you hit the button, it reads it to you, it says, "Do you want to respond?" And then you just um, dictate it and it goes. And you're like, what? So when I was car shopping, the one of the qualifiers, it didn't have to have Apple Play, but one of the qualifiers, because I take everything to my mechanic to have them do a pre-purchase inspection, um, one of the qualifiers was if it doesn't have it, we have to be able to add this. I have to be able to upgrade the stereo to have Apple Play because now that I have experienced that,
I can't go without it.
that's a bit less of a black hole. It's easier for me to take calls with a good Bluetooth system. It's easier to do texting if I need to. Um, like the last month with this rental car has been phenomenal. So I found a car last night, or yesterday. Yeah. I it has Apple Play and because I on Sunday I was like, I'm done looking. I have the Beamer. I'll just drive that for a while until I find what I want. I'm exhausted. Went and drove this car and I was like, well, crap. But that was a qualifier because so if there's something that you can do technology wise to increase that those or not increase the dark holes, but make them more productive, do it. So like there's when I was looking at things, obviously you can have your stereo upgraded. It might be a couple $100, depending on what type of car you drive. There's one on Amazon that just, like, clips to your rear view mirror or
That's
something
cool.
that's, like, 100. Yeah, and I saw one on, like, TikTok Shop. So there's ways, even if you drive an old car, to update that to have less dark hole time because it is true, like, especially where we work, there are times where we're on the road 45 minutes to an hour between showings and meetings. Like, yeah, Charlotte is a big city and there's lots of things close by, but when you're covering the areas we cover, like that can be a lot of miles and a lot of downtime. And getting that back has been
It's a big
amazing,
thing. I'll tell you
amazing.
one thing
So
that I just did. Well, we did it last year too, I guess, sort of. The car rider line is one of the biggest time sucks for me right now because, like I said previously, it was car time, right? But that was I was
right.
traveling back and forth originally to Mooresville to an office, and then to Kannapolis to an office. So that was an easy 2 to 3 hours a day drive time to the office and back, right? On the days that I would go. And I
Right.
didn't go every day, but I tried to go 2 to 3 times a week. So that's a huge amount of time, right? That's a whole day's worth of work just wasted on 150 in
Yep.
Morrisville.
Yeah. And then you add in, then on top of that, you had car rider
Right. So
line.
I would drive
So like drop
back
off,
and go
pick up,
sit in the
like
car rider
that's
line for 30 minutes to 45 minutes, depending on how well it's moving that day. So, anyways, I stopped traveling to an office. I found one more recently in Statesville that I traveled to quite a bit. And now I work here. And if I get a little like, oh my gosh, I have to get out of this house, I go to a coffee shop, right? 15 minutes down the
yeah,
road. It's
that's how
way
I
easier
am.
that
Like
way. And then the car rider line last year, they had there is a Startown Spectacular. It's one of the biggest fundraisers that the PTO does for the school every year. And last year they were auction. It's a silent auction, but they were auctioning off parking spots instead of waiting in the car rider line. It was a VIP
that's
pass.
genius.
So and I had no idea because I was working at the event, and my husband got my bidder number because silent auction you're not supposed to know who it is, and he went around and just randomly like bid on so many things. Uh and then he's like, "Hey,
That's
I'm
a good
take
husband. Hopefully one of them was like sparkly or a
oh,
designer
no,
handbag
no,
too.
he
Like
bought a winch that sat in my car until the last Startown Spectacular 3 weeks ago. It's been in my car for a year. That's how much he didn't need
tell
it,
me
but
you
it was a
live
good
in the
deal, so he bought
country
it.
without telling
Oh,
me you live in the country.
I do. So, anyways, last year he ended up bidding on the morning drop off pass, and I was so irate. Like, why in the world would you spend $385 on a parking spot? Right? But hear me out.
Well, it's a good
Yeah,
cause.
hear me out.
It goes to a good cause.
Because it did go to a good cause, but hear me out. Because they have their Startown Spectacular the second week of October. School goes until the end of May. November, December, January, February, March, April, May. That's like 7 months of in the morning. It would be, it's usually only 15 minutes in the morning because everybody's like, I got to get to work. Kids are like tuck
Right.
and rolling out these vehicles, right? Which isn't a big deal, but you take 15 to 20 minutes and add it up over 8 months of weekdays. That is so much time. So last year, I was able to pull in to the designated parking spot. The kids would get out and leave, and I would be able to leave immediately. I didn't have to wait in line to get out of the road or anything. This year, I was like, I'm getting the afternoon pass because the afternoon pass, I pull in to that same parking spot just in the afternoon. The kids are brought directly to me, and I'm out the door in two
Right.
minutes. So I have
Yeah.
the last couple of weeks because it just happened on the 13th of October. So the last couple of weeks, I've been able to pull up to the school to the walkway. Uh, their music teacher walks them around the circle, brings them to my car. We are the first people to leave. So I pull in at 3 o'clock and I pull out at 3:10.
That's awesome. So I think depending on how you have your business set up, the business should buy that next year, and that's a business
Oh no,
expense.
it certainly is a business expense.
Like I would think that would be a tax write-off, right?
It
Like
should be.
this is
I think it
yeah,
could
it
be
should
too.
be.
I mean,
I
I have
I
a
think if
receipt
you
for it and everything. So
yeah, and you hire a talented CPA to say, "Hey, this like get like Mabel is a tax
mhm.
write-off." Um, that's a topic. We should interview an accountant about tax
Yeah,
write-offs. So
we
Mabel
are
is
edging dangerously close
yeah,
to that season as well.
yeah. But Mabel's a tax write-off because she appears in a certain amount of my advertising. Um, so all of her vet bills, all of it, expense, expense,
That's awesome. I didn't even
expense.
think about vet bills.
Um,
That's cool.
yeah, so that was one of the things, one of the many reasons I got Mabel. But back to time blocking. So that's how I handle mine. Everything is color coordinated, and what I have is I have all my different pebbles built in. And just because I have prospecting at 9 o'clock doesn't mean it always is going to happen at night, but it's built in. So if I need to shuffle it down because someone wants to have a coffee and conversations, or I need to potentially shift like filming something like this to another day, it's still built in there. So it's going to happen. Um, and then the one thing I do to, because it gets a little cluttered at times when I don't clean it out and like actually organize my days, the other thing I've started to doing is like things that are added in on top of my regularly scheduled time blocking. So for instance, showings, closings, walkthroughs, um, specific like lunch and learns that come up that aren't like on the Real Academy calendar that's just automatically fills in my
Right.
calendar. I put an emoji on it. And I know that sounds so elementary, but that because that used to be like, do not move or you paid for this. And now I just put an emoji and I'm like, okay, now I know like this is something outside my normal time blocking. This
But
has to
it's
happen.
important.
This is a non-negotiable, right? Like I can't miss this. So that has helped me keep it organized. Um, what do you do? Like do you have anything in your do you still use a paper
I do
calendar?
use a paper calendar. I've actually more this year I'm using a it it's set up like a paper calendar, but it's on what Good Notes on my iPad. So it's still
Okay.
like I write in it and that kind of thing. But same idea. It has like I use little sticker drops in there and they're like post-it notes, right? So different colors, like I have a blue one for any of the real trainings or anything like that. And same thing, I put like a exclamation point, like a big exclamation point, like pay attention, don't touch it. You know what I mean? Um,
Right.
but the other thing is, and this has changed over time for me, is I used to like every single minute of my day has to be time blocked, like accounted for. But that's not how I work as a human. And I was finding that more often than not, I'm like, I have so much to do. I don't have a minute to myself. And then suddenly I'm doing the doom scroll on Facebook
Right.
and then nothing
Right?
gets
Yeah,
done.
because you just shut
So
down.
I actually don't completely time block my day is not completely blocked. Everything that's on there is things that like you said are must do's for me, right? So and sidebar on this one, the other key aspect to figuring out your best time block is knowing when your best work hours are. We talked about
Yes.
this in the
Mine
last
are
episode.
not 9
Yeah,
AM.
so you're not a morning person. I'm not a morning person. I am a morning person only because I have to have like my kids up and to school, right? But
Right.
my best functioning hours are not in the morning. They're just not.
Yep.
So for me to like get up because there's people who get up and do prospecting and everything before they even bring their kids to school, which is amazing. You have to feel so accomplished by 8 a.m. But that's not how my life works. So I actually we drop the kids off by 8, right? And then I come home because my problem is I like to not have a messy house in the afternoon when the kids get home.
Thank
So
you.
I drop the kids off.
Yes.
I come back and I have like 30 minutes. I start the laundry. I wipe down the counters, like whatever needs to be done so that or at least our living area is tidy, right? Where I'm going to spend the most of the evening is put together. And then, we go, actually 9 is when it starts. So 9 to 12 is blocked off for prospecting. But that doesn't mean that I'm cold calling for 3 hours, right? Uh, and it's actually not even all prospecting. 9 o'clock is usually on Mondays. That's when I send out my updates, things like that, because I'm still like not enjoying the day.
Right.
I get my most productive stuff done work wise from 11 to 2. That's how I function. That's when my best work comes out. That's when I'm the most focused. That 11 to 2, I get so much done. And
Same.
then I
Same.
try to take a 10-minute like go get some water, go make another coffee, 10 minutes every hour and a half.
Yes. I am so glad you said this because I feel like there's a lot of and so another distraction for a second. So I still haven't taken like the last cat got adopted yesterday and I haven't taken down the cat pen. And Mabel is in the kitten pen right now playing with kitten toys. Hey, it's keeping her out of my hair, but I could hear her crunching. I'm like, "What is she doing?" And she's I'll send you the picture I just took. She's sitting in the kitten pen. But I'm glad you said that because I feel like there are so many coaches and, like, trainings out there that say, "You have to be up at 5 AM and you should have 100 calls done by 9 AM," and no. If that's and, like, I used to and I still do some days, beat myself up over it because I am not, never have been, never will be a morning
No.
person. We could call my mom, I could throw her on this meeting right now, and she would say, "Alyssa, mornings, don't
What?
talk to her. Like, since I was an infant, do not attempt to wake me up early. It's not gonna end well for any of us. The only time we do that is when we're catching flights for tropical
Mhm.
vacations." Um and so I used to beat myself up thinking, I'm never going to be successful. I'm never going to be able to pay my bills on time in this business because I'm not the 5 a.m. person. And I do the same thing. I get up, like, we have a routine in this house, even without kids. Like, get up, cats get fed, dog goes out, dog gets fed, coffee gets made, kitchen gets tidied up because I don't know why, but if my kitchen's a mess, my whole life is a mess. So it's like hand wash whatever doesn't go in the dishwasher from yesterday, throw dishes in the dishwasher, tidy it up. If there's laundry that needs to be done, and then I start my day. And usually that means then I'm taking Mabel for a walk and then I shower or I'm going to the gym and then like I get my so there are days where I mean, I don't sit down to start working until 11 and I'm okay with that. And because the other like on the other side of this is so many times we are out at showings till 7, 8 o'clock at night, depending, especially in the summer when people are like, oh, we can go after work because
It's
the
still
sun's
light
going to be
out.
up until 8:30, nine
Yep.
o'clock. There have been times where I've not gotten home until really late. So that's part of what I love about our job is we have that balance. And that was part of why I chose this field because I hated having to be up early, battling traffic for rush hour, and being to an office on time. I just don't. That's not how I function. Now, are there days like this morning? I could have been up at 5 a.m. doing things because I woke up bright eyed and bushy tailed at 3 a.m. for no reason,
Still on
but
California
I
time.
didn't. I don't know what's between kittens and California, y'all. My sleep schedule's
So
so
messed
messed up
up.
right now. I just cannot recover. I even like I have a light that's on a timer in my bedroom and I've had it off for a while, so I like turned it back on last night. Well, the timer must not have been plugged in because it didn't come on this morning. Um, so yeah, I woke up about an hour before we started recording
Oh,
this and I was rushing around and then was like, "Okay, Mabel, you have to go out real quick one more time so you don't have to go while I do this." And that's when she either took off or she came in and I didn't realize it. And then I took off looking for her and she was in the backyard when I got back and I was like, "Okay, just get inside." Um but yeah, I think there's a lot of agents out there, and you know what? For some people, it works. Their time blocking is they're up at 5 a.m. They do their meditation or whatnot before the kids get up, or you know, if they don't have kids, that's just they're they hit the ground running. That's just not who I am. And I for other agents out there who are struggling with that because you're hearing all of these coaches, all of these trainings say you've got to be up, you've got to be on the phones. No, you don't. And you need to build your business the way that works for you, the way that is successful for you. Um, I've never cold called in my life. It's not my thing. Not going to do it. I hate when I get those cold calls, so I'm not going to be the cold
right.
call. Um, but I did when I was at the dealership yesterday. It's the first dealership I've gone through while car shopping. Did pick up on some of the stuff. I was like, ah, and I literally told this guy, I said, "You got trained that way, didn't
Yeah.
you?" I said, that was smooth. It's not going to work,
Right.
but that
But
was
I
smooth."
see you. I see what you're doing.
Right, I get what you're
I went
doing,
to
like, you get
Sam's Club the other day and they had somebody set up from like T-Mobile and then like a air freshener company that's trying to like sell the things, right? And they like all but
mhm.
follow you down those aisles and I'm like, "Bro, listen, I appreciate the hustle. One hustler to another, great job. But listen, I really need to get just this big old case of Uncrustables for my kids for lunch. Okay, I have five
Right.
minutes. Good luck."
I used to when so I'm a Costco girl, and they always have I think it's AT&T there that's always like, "Hey, hey, hey." Well, I worked for Spectrum at the time, and I like because they were always trying to sell you their Dish Network or whatever
Yeah.
it is
Uh-huh.
that and they would go, "Ma'am, ma'am," and I would just go, "I work for Spectrum, thanks," because we got everything free, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, never mind, not even," like, literally one guy one day was like, "You're not even worth my time," and I was like, "Yeah,
You're
you can't,
right.
like, I get everything for free as an employee, so no thanks."
Yeah, no.
Um,
That's tricky.
yeah, but I think you have to, like you said it earlier, I've said it, you have to set up your time blocking and other elements of your business to work in a way that works for you. And for some people, that's the 5 a.m. hustle and they love it and that's how they function and they cold call all day. And more props to them because they've figured out what works
Mhm.
for them. But if that's not you, that's okay. And it may take a little longer to build a business depending, but some people for cold calling it does too because they just aren't great
Right.
at it or, they're not doing it the right way. So time block the way that works for you
Well, I think
and your
it's just
family.
again like everything else, it's a comparing thing, right? Oh, well, Susie is super good at time blocking and that's why her business is successful, right? Or she time blocks
Right.
this specific way and that's why she has the business that she has. And that's not necessarily the case, you know? It's just
No.
you have to be very authentic and true to who you are because if you're up at 5 a.m. hating your life, like you're not going to be productive or good for anybody in that moment,
Exactly.
anyways.
And that's like I was coaching CrossFit for the last 3 years while building this business. And 2 months ago, right before the car accident, I said enough is enough because I was getting up at 4 a.m. 2 to 3 times a week, sometimes 5 days a week, depending on, coaching schedules to go coach CrossFit for 5 and 6 a.m. And then I'd be exhausted the rest of the day because I wouldn't sleep the night before, stressed out, like that I wouldn't wake up on time, which I only did once? I only did that once in 3 years,
That's
so
good.
that's
That's
right?
good.
Um, but I just realized, like, 1, it wasn't worth the financials anymore with the drive-in, like, I will be honest, it saved me during COVID, it was the only finances I had coming in at one point, but I looked at it like you just said, it was sucking my energy the rest of those days, and then I wasn't effective at other things or was missing things, and I just said enough is enough, and literally the week I quit that or the week after maybe, because I was redirecting that time and granted not at 4 and 5 a.m., but I had the energy to truly sit down and focus on what I needed to focus on. I signed the $1,000,000 contract. And like
We are
I
so proud
joked because
of that. Isn't that
right?
closing like coming
Um
up?
it closed while I was in San Diego, yeah.
See, I knew it was the end of this month. Yeah.
Yeah, it was supposed to be yesterday, but the stars aligned and everyone wanted to close it early. Like sellers were already out, buyers wanted in so they could get it painted. Yes, that's a topic for another day. I'm
Alyssa!
trying to figure out how I want to approach this without sounding like a braggart.
That's exciting.
Um, but that's my point is like eliminating that exhaustion, even just for a week or two, gave me the focus. I'd been working with these clients since February. To put this into perspective, if you're listening to this 6 months from now, it is October 31st. We're recording on Halloween. Um, I finally dialed it in. And granted, maybe it still would have just worked out that way. But having the energy to pay attention and know, okay, this is what my clients said they want. Let me scrub today's new properties list. Like that, it helped me dial it in. And just the last month and a half of not coaching, I've been far more effective and far more successful and not exhausted trying to play catch up all the time. So build your business and your time block in a way that works for you. And don't let anyone tell you that you have to do it a certain way or at a certain time because you don't.
Yeah, don't let anybody should on you. You should get up at
Right.
5 a.m. You should. I do have to say though, I saw something on Facebook. I think it was either Tyler or Drake. Uh, they are a real estate team and in Statesville and the coolest guys ever. But one of them posted a status, like like a one of the memories on Facebook, and he'd posted like getting up an hour earlier over the course of a year, right? That's 365 days. That essentially is like 8 work weeks, 8 40-hour weeks
Yep.
that you get back into your life. That's a lot. That's a lot. And I do
Or
have to say,
for those
because over the summer, again, I'm not a morning person, and Madeline is my youngest is absolutely not a morning person. She would sleep till 10 a.m. every day and be totally cool with it. So over the summer, like
she is my
we're just
spirit.
not, you know what I mean, an up and go family. Travis is. I'm not. Um, so I have to say though, getting back into the school routine, we got Ellie the month before school started, and Ellie has an internal alarm clock of 5:45 to 6 a.m. to go outside.
So wait, hold on. Who is Ellie? I think we need to
Oh,
like, I know I think in our
yes, we
first
did talk
episode we
about Ellie a
discussed
little
it,
bit.
but just for
Ellie
reference.
is our now. Oh gosh, is she almost 4 months old? July, August, September. Yeah, she's 4 months old. Uh, Frenchie. 4 month old Frenchie. She
She's so
is,
cute.
oh my gosh, she's adorable. I will be taking a picture of her in her little fluffy unicorn costume and putting it on
I can't
Facebook.
wait to see it.
Tucker is not participating this year. He's cranky. It's his birthday. He hates that his birthday's on Halloween because
Aw, poor
the kids come
Tucker.
home with all this candy that he can't eat because dogs can't eat chocolate, right?
Yeah,
But
right.
so Ellie has an internal alarm clock, literally like 5:45 to 6 a.m. She's like, I have to pee. So I was like, this sucks, right? But I have to say, we get up, let the dog out. We were going to Dunkin' like almost every morning before school, right? But Travis actually just bought a mini Keurig. So now like we both get
Oh.
up and he makes coffee and I take the dogs out and wake the kids up, and then we sit and we drink coffee while the kids are getting dressed. Listen, it's a whole family
That sounds like
moment
a
in the
great
morning
morning
now,
though. Yeah.
but it is so nice to not be rushed because I remember last year I was like rolling the kids out of bed at 7 and like we got to go, and everybody was stressed, everybody was running, hated it. So now we're up at like 6. The kids are up. They pack their own lunches, like all that stuff, because they are, no, listen, my kids are, they're great. I don't know where they came from, but they're great. They pack their own lunches. We check like homework, all that stuff. And then we usually still have like 20 or more minutes to just like talk about today, that kind of stuff. And then we roll out. And it's so
Nice.
nice to just like roll into the day like that instead of like throwing stuff in a bag, booting kids out the door, because that's what we did last year. So giving yourself the space to be able to enjoy your day. And then, like I
Yeah.
said, I come home, wipe down the counters, take the dogs out again, like that kind of thing, and then roll into my workday. It
Yes.
makes a huge difference.
And I will say, so I'm the opposite right now because between car accident, prepping for Rise, which I know that's not like, oh, listen, what'd you have to do to prep for a conference? I had to buy a wardrobe, thank you. And that's stressful. And I had foster cats that showed up 3 days before I left. And like, there was a lot going on. So I have not been on my game. And I can tell you, my house is a disaster. My routines have not been regular. And that's affecting me. So it goes the opposite way too. Like when you are constantly in a cluster, running out the door, even as a single person, running out the door, making sure that like I my focus this week is getting back into that time. Like I'm literally, I said it today, I have to just order a traditional alarm clock because I have my alarm set for 6:15 this morning. Granted, I had some sleep issues last night, but I woke up at 8:30 because that alarm goes off on my phone and my watch and I can silence both of them from my
Mm-hmm.
bed. And that has to stop. So, you're right. Like having that routine opens up because let's be honest, every single realtor who's gotten into this business has said, "I want a work-life balance."
There's honestly like, there's a work
Like,
life
good
juggle,
luck.
but
Right. And so,
balance.
but if you have that time blocking, so you know you can shuffle things, or you guys have that, I want to live at your house. Like that routine sounds amazing. I want Travis to make
I
me coffee.
know.
Travis, I like mine iced, by the way. So you can brew it the night
Just
before,
set
and
it in
then
the
it's one
fridge,
less to
let
make
it
in the
chill
morning.
overnight. It'll be great. I didn't
Yeah.
even think of that. That's a good
Um,
idea.
but back to my point, having those routines, having that time blocking opens up that work life balance. It helps you find the windows or where you can shuffle things. so that you do have that time we all crave to have whatever it is that that makes your life better.
Or like you
Like
said,
for
time
me,
blocking will help you, if nothing else, realize where your problem areas are. You know what I mean? Or whatever you want
right,
to call them, your black holes. Because say that was when I was like, man, I am spending 20 hours a week in the car.
right.
That's insane.
And then you came to real and now you don't have to go to an
Yeah, and
office.
now, so that's made a huge difference. And even with, like I said, I had a when I was with KW, was in an office in Statesville, which is much closer to where I am, and I would try to go twice a week, but still it cut down the time so much. And now, like, I have a setup, and I have to say this because even having an office space, like I would bring my laptop and set it up and like do all of that stuff. So now here at home, I have like everything stays up always. I can
Right.
come in and
Yep.
start working. Like I'm not plugging in my
Yep.
computer and doing this and doing that. And it's so much simpler. And if I do want to go get a iced vanilla chai from the coffee place down the street, I can do that.
Right. I was actually going to say that is like that commute when you're going to an office isn't just the time in the car because it's exactly that. We all work on laptops now. It's not like you're going into corporate America and your computer stayed there and you just turn it on and you go. You're setting things back up. You have the chit chat with the other people in
Oh
the
God.
office. Like that
The
takes
chit chat.
time.
Oh,
Like
it,
that's probably
it
another
gets me
hour.
every time. And I am a chatty Cathy. You know I'm a chatty Cathy. We can kill
That's
hours.
how we became friends.
Hours. But I would always I love to hear other people like working and on the phone and talking to other people. But Lord, the moment you start talking to me, I I can't control myself. I will
Right.
get nothing
Right.
done.
But you made a good point about having the setup. Like having a good setup makes you more productive. So probably next week when you see me will be reversed. The lightings is better that way. Like it all made sense. So getting on Amazon today, and ordering a standing desk and eventually a walking pad. I'm not gonna order that right now. But yeah, because I need that setup. And if you don't have like if you're cluttered, if it's a mess, you're not gonna perform well. Like you need a dedicated space. Even if like if you don't have an office in your house, and say the kids go to school during the day, then wherever that space is needs to be cleaned out and needs to be your space. I think that's just as important as time blocking because if you're trying to work in a mess, it's not going to work well. At least not for
Well, and
me. Like
that's
I have to have a clean, organized
before I
space.
had this space in here. It was the kitchen island for me because I do like to stand up and work. So it's the
Same.
kitchen island, but that's when I was running into, oh crap, like I'm gonna start the dishes, and oh man, I gotta swap the laundry over,
Right.
because I was surrounded by it. Right. So now I do the
Right.
pickup in the
Yeah.
morning, but then I can't see it, and that is the best way for me
Yep.
because I'm a
Yes.
little
So
squirrel oriented, like whoop.
like shiny object,
Mm-hmm.
gotta go. So I'm gonna give you my last time blocking tip because we are closing in on that magic time that we want to keep our episodes to. So my last time blocking tip for the day, one of the things I another way you can maybe help structure your day is all of my new business or searching for new business is done in the morning. All of my current clients, it gets done in the afternoon. So, and when I have buyers and sellers, I tell them, hey, I spend my mornings doing this because that's, when I can focus on that. And then anytime after whatever or in the afternoon, that's when I will get back to you. Now, if it's an emergency, which let's be honest, there aren't in real estate, I don't care what anyone says. If your house is on fire, call the fire department and then call me the next day because there's nothing I can do about it. Um, but that's how I structure mine. So all of my prospecting, new business stuff happens in the morning. All of my current business stuff that's under contract or listings happens in the afternoon. I don't always stick to that because, yes, there are some times where I need to shuffle or like my clients' work schedules are a little different. But for the most part, that's because you think about it, buyers and sellers, if they're at work all day, they can't talk to you in the morning anyway. So if you're looking for new business, that's a better time to do it.
That's hilarious because I do it
At least
exactly
in
the
my
opposite.
opinion.
I do all of my current clients and everything in the morning and prospecting and talking to people in the afternoon?
So for me, it was an eat the frog. It's an eat the frog for me. If you've ever read the book, the whole book, the one theory, I'll break it down for you, is if someone told you had to eat a frog, it would be like the hardest, most disgusting thing to do, right? And you'd probably put it off all
Right.
day and you wouldn't do it. Just do it first. Just eat the frog. Do
Oh
the
my gosh,
hard
that's what we
thing.
tell our
Eat
kids when
it.
we're like at dinner. Well, I don't want the carrots. Eat it first. Just eat them and get it
Right.
over
Eat it
with.
first. Get it out of the way, and then you can go do the things you like. And I don't like prospecting. I don't. It's not. I am someone who has built my business entirely on social media and sphere of influence. Um, I've only had one like quote unquote paid lead, but it was one of those where you pay at closing. I'm not getting Zillow leads. Um, so prospecting for me is very organic, very I have to have the energy to do it. And so for me it's the mornings. It's my eat the frog because if you ever get to know me, you will know, yes, a lot like Brenna, I can hold a conversation for 3 hours about one silly little topic. But after that party where I've been in the corner with the same person the whole time, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna decompress and I'm gonna introvert for like the next six
Hmm.
days. Um, so for me, that's my frog. I get it done in the morning.
Perfect example for people to be like, oh, wow, it doesn't all have to be the same because
No, it doesn't.
we are both, I would
Because
say,
they're like,
pretty
okay,
successful and we do it completely
yeah,
differently. Like we got color
yeah,
codes,
we do
we
it
got color codes and black holes, but other than that, we're
right.
like completely flip flopped on
Exactly.
how.
Exactly. Actually, you know what's funny? So when I was at the dealership yesterday, I test drove the smaller version of your car and I was like, now that would be funny.
That would
That
be
would be
real
like
funny.
real funny if I bought this car. That is not the car I'm buying, but I was like, it's funny because we're so different, but we're
We're
so the
so similar.
same.
Yeah, because
Like,
next year will just be thing one and thing two for Halloween.
yes.
Oh, well, I know that you have a hard stop here for us because we have.
Yes, I
I mean,
do.
I'm doing the school thing for trick or treating today. So working with the
Yes, all the
PTO, and
school
we are trick or
events.
treating throughout the whole school. So I'm going to hit up all the teachers and talk with everybody, and that's going to be great. Um, but yeah, so I think this is good. Next week, I think we are going to be recapping a few huge takeaways from the last conference that Alyssa went to in
Yes.
California, which will be,
Yes. Yes, we
I'm
are.
excited for that because I didn't get to go. So I can't wait to pick your brain. So that's going to be a mostly Alyssa
Yes.
episode, but it's going to be a good time. So come back next Tuesday.
We'll see you next
See you
week.
next week. That's easy. Yeah. See you next time.